Snow White and the Spin Cycle Safari. Snow White sighed, leaning against the mossy rim of the wishing well. Forest life was lovely, the birds were polite, and the squirrels never stole her toast, but today felt decidedly dull. Meanwhile, inside the cottage, 7 tiny voices were having a very big argument about the proper way to fold a napkin. It's Doc's turn to dust the porcelain teacups. My turn was yesterday, and I was promised the day off, yelled Happy. I'm too sleepy for teacups, they keep looking like clouds, mumbled Sleepy. Suddenly, an extra glittery, feather-edged postcard fluttered onto Dopey's head, smelling strongly of sandalwood. Ooh, breathed Snow White, reading the back. The magnificent Taj Mahal in India. What an adventure that would be. Imagine the shopping. Just then, a wide, mischievous grin appeared, floating in the air next to the kitchen sink. Then a pair of purple-striped ears followed. Don't look so glum, Grumpy, chuckled the Cheshire Cat, his body materializing in a puff of lavender-scented smoke. A boring forest is never where the fun is. Besides, you look like you need a holiday, perhaps one with very few cleaning tasks. Doc, ever the planner, tapped his pen against his little notepad. A trip to India? We'll need 7 passports, 14 miniature suitcases, sun cream with SPF 100, and a perfectly mapped 6-month route. This is a major expedition. The cat winked, his grin widening until it filled the room. Or we could just use the sparkly Spin Cycle adventure portal. Less paperwork, much more glitter. He pointed his paw at the cottage's washing machine, which was now vibrating and glowing a dazzling pink. With a shout of, "All aboard the Spin Cycle," Snow White grabbed Dopey's hand. One by one, the 8 adventurers tumbled into the magically humming washing machine drum with a whoosh that smelled faintly of jasmine and fabric softener. They crash-landed in a chaotic riot of color and noise. They were in a bustling street market in India. Snow White clapped her hands with delight. Grumpy grumbled, I specifically asked for the cool and gentle air conditioning setting. This is far too colorful. Happy immediately dashed off to a stall piled high with sparkling glass bangles. We need souvenirs. And these match my favorite hat, he declared, haggling enthusiastically with a very confused vendor in tiny, high-pitched English. Doc was trying to consult a map that was upside down. Focus team, called Snow White, trying to count heads and ignoring the small, exotic bird that kept trying to perch on her hair bow. We came all this way for the Taj Mahal. Has anyone seen the cat? He was supposed to be our guide. Suddenly, the floating grin reappeared over a huge basket of exotic, sweet-smelling mangoes. The path to the treasure is paved with silliness and sparkly confetti, the cat whispered, then vanished again. Snow White rolled her eyes, but she knew what he meant. They had to follow the trail of sticky pink and purple glitter Dopey had accidentally left behind. Finally, there it was, white, grand, and breathtakingly beautiful. The Taj Mahal. The dwarfs gasped in awe. Even Grumpy forgot to grumble as he gazed up at the magnificent structure. Well, he admitted, pulling his hat down, now that was worth the Spin Cycle. Snow White decided a grand monument needed a grand photograph. We need the perfect spot for a Taj Mahal bestie's selfie, she declared. Doc consulted his map, which now looked suspiciously like a restaurant menu, and pointed toward a shady archway. Sleepy, however, was immediately distracted by the cool marble floor. He curled up against a decorative marble screen, claiming it was the most beautiful pillow ever invented. Bashful hid behind a column, peeking out only to marvel at the intricate flower carvings. Grumpy was studying the marble with a suspicious squint. It's all very nice, but how do they keep it so white? I bet they're hiding a secret, super powerful stain remover. Probably one that requires scrubbing. I heard a rumor, purred a voice, as the Cheshire Cat's eyes appeared above a delicate inlay of lapis lazuli, that the reflection of the Taj Mahal in the garden fountains holds a secret, the mirror of magnificent adventures. A mirror, squealed Snow White. We must find it. A mirror that shows magnificent adventures must be the perfect prop for a picture. The dwarfs, momentarily forgetting their squabbles, followed her lead and dashed towards the famous central fountain. As they ran, Dopey, in his usual enthusiastic way, tripped over a carefully pruned shrub. He landed headfirst in a patch of fragrant, brightly colored marigold flowers, emerging with his little hat covered in petals. They reached a long, reflecting pool, its waters perfectly still. As they peered in, the beautiful reflection of the Taj Mahal stared back. Doc frowned. I only see the Taj Mahal. I don't see a magnificent adventure. This is misleading. Suddenly, the cat's disembodied voice echoed. The secret is not in the water. The secret is in the silly reflection. Look closer, but don't forget to giggle. Snow White giggled, realizing the cat's trick. He means we have to make our own magnificent adventure reflection. She pulled a funny face. The dwarfs, catching on, started making the silliest faces they could muster, their reflections mirroring their antics perfectly. Just then, a tiny, crystal-clear drop of water splashed Grumpy's nose. The drop glowed, and the surface of the pool suddenly showed not their faces, but a spinning image of the 7 dwarfs riding a giant, sparkly flamingo. The mirror of magnificent adventures wasn't a mirror, Snow White realized, smiling. It was the memory of our own silly, amazing trip. She quickly grabbed her camera and snapped the final, perfect selfie with the reflected, spinning flamingo. Right, said Doc, checking his watch. Adventure accomplished. Now where is that washing machine? I need a nice, quiet spin cycle to process all this data. The floating grin reappeared, pointing a purple paw. Back to the spin cycle, chaps. Toodaloo. With a final cheerful whoosh, smelling strongly of jasmine and glitter, they tumbled back into their quiet cottage. Snow White held up the camera. We'll always have India. And I finally found something worth washing, she announced, tossing the petal-covered dwarf hat into the machine.